Hello, welcome. Please make sure you mute yourself. Welcome, everybody. My name is Maricela Rivera. I'm the Assistant Director for Global Engagement here at Fairleigh Dickinson University. I would like to welcome you to the Sustainable Development Goals in Action Forum.
And then I didn't study for like 9 months, and then I ended up taking SAT.
Please mute your mic, please.
Did terrible
because you hadn't done the studying. Yeah.
I apologize for that. Again, thank you everybody for joining us today for our forum on the Sustainable Development Goals and Actions. I would like to introduce my participants. Larry, please, if you will, introduce yourself to the students.
Hello, everyone. My name is Professor Gooden. I am the UN Campus Liaison to the United Nations, and I'm really excited about today. And to my students and to professors who are joining us today, thank you for carving out time of your busy schedule.
Okay. It is my privilege to honor our student moderator today, Sulema Mentasa, a junior here at Fairleigh Dickinson University, majoring in biology and completing the 4+1 program. Not only is she the president of Student Government Association at the Metropolitan Campus for the 2022-2023 academic school year, she is a sister of Alpha Sigma Tau, the Epsilon Theta chapter here at FDU. She is a member of the Organization of Latin America, and she is the communications chair for the Pre-Health Professional Club. Sulema plans to go to medical school and become a board-certified pediatrician. Ms. Mestanza has had a strong interest in the healthcare field since she was very young, and her passion continues to grow. Her dream medical school is UCLA, a top medical school in the country where she was able to visit during her junior year of high school. She learned about different career paths and patient care and was even given the opportunity to tour the Gross Anatomy Lab. From then on, she knew that she wanted to work with children. Sulema has dedicated her whole college career to becoming a mentor, building meaningful connections with professors and professionals, all while volunteering in nearby hospitals to continue expanding her knowledge in patient care, as well as becoming a global citizen. Sulema takes pride in all of her positions she holds on campus. She is a mentor and she wants to be an example and a resource for all those who come after her. She knows this is a journey is not only the beginning for her, and she hopes to leave a lasting legacy, not only on campus, but in the healthcare field as well. Thank you so much, Sulema, for being our student moderator for this panel. Please introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I would like now take the time to introduce Ms. Eliane Haber. She is the executive committee member for the Arab states at the UNESCO SDG4 Youth Network, where she worked with OSGEY as part of the Youth Advisory Group to help organize the UN Transforming Education Summit Youth Declaration. Eliane is a winner of the 2022 UNEV ESCWA Restoring Hope Beyond War and Suffering competition. She is the founder of G.H.A.D, a non-for-profit that helps students with their academic careers and academic financing. She works on research of the national and regional level of focusing on curriculums and education system reforms. And she is a consultant at the Charity Donation Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization working on poverty alleviations. Eliane holds a bachelor's in psychology and is currently completing 2 master's degrees, one in NGO management and the other in international business management. With that, thank you so much for being here today, of course. We have heard your very impressive biography, but let's take a deeper dive into your vision and purpose. As a woman leader in the global sector, please share with us why you are so passionate about 2030 SDGs and which goals do you consider to be interconnected to your work?
All right, thank you so much, Sulaiman. Thank you everyone for being here today. All right, so I'm gonna divide my answer into 3 parts. My interest in the Sustainable Development Goals is related to the first time I read about these goals, back in 2015, it was to me there's no other way out anyway, and this is the only way how we can move forward in our lives on this planet. So it is time for us to take care of the planet and the humans who are living on this planet. So there's no other way than this way. I mainly focus on two things, this SDG 4, which is education, as you already mentioned, because I'm part of the network, and before being part of the network, I'm focused on this goal. And the other goal is related to well-being and mental health, which is under SDG 3. All right, so my interest in mental health is somehow personal because yes, I did study psychology, but I mean, like, I studied this major and I believed in it because I knew that by taking care of ourselves and solving our own past and traumas and injuries, we can move forward in our lives. And that there are so many things that we don't see, but they exist and they are there, and they might be blocking our ways from moving forward, which are happening in our minds. And that's why I do focus on this part. Now going to SDG 4, which is like the goal that I dedicated my whole life for. I will tell you my story. So give me a few minutes and you will be able to understand why I'm that interested in that. So I come from Lebanon, which is a very small country in the Middle East. We are mainly a democratic country, but we always had wars, and we always had lack of resources. We always had poverty. But at the same time, we have universities, we have schools, we have high rankings worldwide, and the literacy rate is high. We do have a good education, and it's accessible for everyone almost. I'm not talking about right now, I'm talking about when I was a student at school, because right now the situation is totally different. But at the same time, the quality of the education is not that good because we have an outdated system and outdated curriculum. So the situation is really controversial, and it pushed me to be part of the change. In my own family, I was the first woman to hold a university degree. Like, I mean, in my own family, from my father's side and from my mother's side. I will take you a little bit back to my childhood. So when I was young, and I was always the first in my class in school. And it was really hard for me to understand why my classmates are not being able to understand the bare minimum of their studies, and why they are not able to get the bare minimum of grades. So, but because I was always the giver and the person who loves to help everyone, I used to help everyone at school. And then I opened my own organization where I started helping students. And then again, like, while moving forward and while teaching students, I was able to understand why they weren't able to get these grades and why they weren't able to achieve the bare minimum at school. And it's because so many psychological things might be happening over there. And it's also because in my own country, at least, and I know that it's applicable in so many other countries, we teach them based on a system that we ask them to fit in. And by that, we are dimming so many talents and so many passions. And just because these students became victims of a system that is outdated, and it doesn't match their talents, their passion, their ambitions, their skills, whatever they want to do. And because of all these things, and because I believe that no student is obliged to face the difficulties alone, and no student is supposed to find the way alone without any support or without any guidance. And no passion or no talent should be lost and should be done because of an outdated system, because this is a capital potential and it's a human potential that we are losing. So I decided to dedicate my whole life for this goal. Long story short, my decision was that with everything I learned and through this whole process, I tried to describe in these few minutes, to turn everything I learned and all these struggles I talked about into some hope and some change for the future generation. So that's it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all your personal experiences here with us today. I do have one more question for you before we do start our presentation. So in our cross-cultural perspectives course, we discuss topics and themes focused on gender inequality and the global gender pay gap. Have you ever felt as though being an influential woman leader in the global sector prevents you from having a seat at tables where key decisions are being made?
Okay, let me tell you this. It's true that I come from Lebanon, which is an Arab country, and Arab countries are known about like this gender equality more than other countries. I do agree with this, but personally, Eliane, I didn't face such thing, but I did face other things related to women. Like, I mean by this, I was never not welcomed on a table just because I'm a woman, but at some point in my own society and where I grew up and where I was raised, women were asked to meet certain standards, certain boxes to fit in, like duties to do and the beauty standards to meet and all these things, which I don't fit in any of these things. So this was part of the struggle, like to have the courage to stay out of that box and to just keep moving forward, although there's the voice in my head repeating that, no, this is not what you are supposed to be doing, you know? So this is the part. And there's another part. I know that this is not exactly the question, but there's another part, which is I mentioned already in the first question, being from an Arab country and being from Lebanon, especially during the last few years, it's really challenging and it takes a lot of courage to just try to I'm not gonna say ignore, but overcome all the challenges and all the obstacles and keep moving forward and keep trying to do the change while everything around you is collapsing. So yes, but anyway, I just want to end this with one thing that I find it important is that the courage and the fact that we don't need someone to tell us that you can sit on the table. And this might sound cliche a little bit, and maybe you heard it before. So it's not like about bringing your own chair, or you have to believe that you are doing what's right to do and disregard your gender, where you come from. You will always find a way. It might be hard. It might be challenging. You might have to overcome so many obstacles, but you don't need to wait for someone to invite you to a table to make a change. It doesn't go this way. No one will invite you to a table to flip that table over them. You will have to find a way. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. I think now you want me to move to the presentation. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna share my screen. Can you just confirm that you are seeing the screen? Okay, perfect. So very quickly in the first part, I will be talking about I'm not gonna repeat the SDGs for you. I know that this is the last session of the forum, so of course you heard all the SDGs. I just wanted to say something very quick, that I know that there are so many of you here today. I don't know what are the majors and what you are studying, but what you can be sure about is that you're still seeing my screen or not? Yes, okay. What you can be sure about is that no matter what is your major or what you are studying, of course, it fits under any of these SDGs and it serves any of them. And if not, you have to try to see the way, like, because these SDGs are not set just because they wanted to set 17 goals. They set them just because we need to try to follow these goals to survive and to stay on this planet and to have a better life and to have a better future for the next generation. So whatever you do, try to go back always to this place and see how are you serving the community, the society, the people around you, the future, and the environment. Since I studied business at some point in my life, I'm just gonna mention something, a term that we use a lot in the business field, which is related to the ESG, environmental, social, and corporate governance, which is a framework that is recently becoming very trendy in the business field, where they are to focus on these three pillars: environmental, social, and governance, in the way they do their work in any type of business, in a way that is good for the community and environment again, and all these things. I'm not going to spend so much time about this because we're moving to mental health and education, but I just wanted to mention this over here. And also I want to mention this global reporting initiative, which is an initiative that can help any organization to monitor and to have an accountability mechanism to see how are they doing in their sustainability work. All right, so now we're gonna move to SDG 3. And the three targets I'm showing here, 3.4, 3.5, 3.8. And in case you don't know, like all the SDGs have targets under the SDG. So it's SDG 1 and many targets under it, SDG 2 and many targets under it. So in total, we have 169 targets.
Elaine,
And
if you haven't moved over on your PowerPoint.
I am on SDG 3 now. No,
We only see the first page of the screen.
okay. Let me just do that again.
Of course.
Now?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. So I was saying that there are 169 targets in total in all the SDGs, but I'm not talking about all of them now. I'm talking about the three targets under good health and well-being, which targets mental health. 3.4, reduce by 1/3 premature mortality from non-communicable diseases through prevention and treatment, and promote mental health and well-being. And here, when they say in the details of 3.4, when they say non-communicable diseases, they mean also that whatever is related to mental health and disorders that are not things that are usually communicated and we usually talk about. 3.5, strengthen the prevention and treatment of substance abuse, including narcotic drug abuse and harmful use of alcohol.
Ay, Aaron, pusiste gris y ponte un...
Okay, because normally whenever people are in this path of abuse or addiction or something like that, on the other side, they might be dealing with mental health issues, and we need to find solutions for that. And 3.8, strengthen the prevention and treatment of substance abuse, including narcotic drug abuse and harmful use of alcohol. It's almost the same thing. The main point here is that like away from the theoretical part and what are the targets and all these things, we need to know that our mental health and our well-being is important, and there are ways to take care of that, just like there are ways to take care of anything else. And we need to have that like dictated in our mind, and just be convinced that if we don't take care of our mental health and our well-being, it will always be a burden for us from in our relationships and in our work and in our improvement in life. So I can say it here from a personal experience that when you give more time to your own well-being, you will be able to move forward faster and more focused and more mindful and more all these things. So again, we need to know that it's important to take care of our mental health, and there are so many ways. I can name a few, like finding things that bring happiness to ourselves, take breaks, take vacations, stop working when it's needed, prioritize so many things such as sleeping, exercising, finding positive coping mechanisms, finding people that are that we have common ground with and share with. But all in all, take care of our mental health. And now I'm going to move to SDG 4, which is quality education. Under SDG 4, we have 7 outcome targets, which are focused on primary and secondary education, early childhood development, equal access to technical, vocational, and higher education, skills for decent work, gender equality, universal youth literacy, education for sustainable development, and global citizenship. And as you see here, there are so many other SDGs mentioned in the SDG 4. And in all cases, I think that quality education, SDG 4, is a goal that has an impact on all the other goals. So when we need to support the goals related to the environment, we talk about climate education. When we need to support, SDG 8, economic growth, we talk about relevant skills for decent work, and that will be supporting economic growth, gender equality, and it's related to SDG 5. So under SDG 4, we will be always finding things related to the other SDGs because it's anyway a cycle and everything is related. And we also have three means of implementation to these 7 targets, which is in learning environments and providing more scholarships, and it's related to teachers and educators by providing teachers and educators with the means and knowledge and trainings they need to improve and to keep giving the best they can. All right. Now I'm going to talk about the UN Transforming Education Summit and the Youth Declaration on Transforming Education. So the summit was the 3 days that happened in New York in September, and it was only focused on education, and it's because education is in global crisis. So the UN Secretary General dedicated these 3 days for this summit to talk about education. So the first 2 days were for youth and civil society and so many others. And the third day was part of the UN General Assembly, which was Leaders' Day. We presented the Youth Declaration to the UN Secretary General during the Transforming Education Summit. And yes, this Youth Declaration on Transforming Education, which is, of course, Youth Declaration focused on SDG 4, was written based on consultations that we did all over the world. And we were able to cover 170 countries, reaching 500,000 of young people to share their commitments and vision and recommendations about how would they like to see education and SDG 4 transformed in the future. The Youth Declaration is available online. It's 25 articles. I will share the link with you later on. But what I wanted to say about this before we move is that it covered again, it's 25 articles, and I was part of the people who were organizing the consultations and drafting the final document. So we tried as much as we can together to highlight everything that young people are facing, be it in their education directly or not in their education directly, the education and informal education. In the Youth Declaration itself, there are 2 articles related to the mental health and well-being and the necessity of more inclusion, necessity of including social and emotional learning in schools, necessity of teaching students how to prioritize their mental health during their studies, during their education, and after this journey, and so many other things. And yes, that's it about the Youth Declaration. I will share the link with you later on. And this is just, okay. I just wanted to take this opportunity to share a small message with you. And because what excited me the most about being with you here today is that I'm with university students. So I think that after listening to me, some of you think that, I don't know, maybe some of you think that they can be the change makers and they can do the change of tomorrow. And maybe others, they think that they are one person and what can they do? But to both of these people, I wanted to say that change is done by few people around the world. Like when we summarize the efforts of all these people together, we will find the change we want. And this change is needed and we need to work on it. So you need to believe in yourselves and in what you want to do, and you need to work hard on it. Anyway, in another, you will find the way and you will reach what you want at the end. And that's it. I'm just sharing here my info. And in the last slides, and I will share these with you, are links for, links for the SDG for Youth Network, which I'm part of the executive committee, links for the Transforming Education Summit, the Youth Declaration. You can follow these links. We share so many things there. We try as much as we can also to have consultations with young people. We did that, and we will be doing this in the future. So you can follow this and be part of our conversations whenever we post about any conversation. And yeah, that's it. Thank you. I will keep this on the screen if you want, and done from my side.
Well, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. I would like to open up the floor to any questions that the audience may have. With that being said, can you just please, if you have any questions, if you can please add them into the chat box and I can read them out loud for you. So Ms. Eliane can have a response for you.
Does anybody have any questions? Don't be shy. I know we have a couple classrooms in the room. Would anybody like to ask a question to our speaker?
So I do see one question in the chat, so I'm going to read it out loud for you, Ms. Lane. So it says as follows, the pandemic has accelerated the already existing issues in having sustainable quality of education worldwide. Pre-pandemic, what was the focus of SDG 4 and how are they different now? How can we focus on those issues while simultaneously helping the education gap that COVID-19 has created?
Okay, it's totally true. Yeah, this is something I was supposed to mention, but I didn't mention it. I'm sorry for missing it. No, like the SDG 4 itself, when we are talking about the SDG 4 and whatever is under this SDG 4, it was the same before the pandemic and after the pandemic in terms of like officially what does this target mean. But the COVID and the crisis and everything that happened after the repercussions of this crisis that happened, including the financial ones that the whole globe is facing, was like a wake-up call for everyone in the education field and in all the fields that they need to change the way they are doing things. So now I'm going to give an example. COVID made us realize that when we shift, that we maybe not all the countries of the world has the proper infrastructure and have the readiness to move to the digital world. So some countries maybe they were able to do this shift very quickly and to adapt very quickly. Maybe this was available. And in some countries, it wasn't available. So it took them time to do this adaptation and to be able to turn their curriculum into the digital ones. And this doesn't mean that everyone was able to access education during COVID, because in some countries, they don't have the infrastructure for the internet. In some countries, they cannot afford to have digital devices and online learning. So if I can say something about SDG 4 and COVID, is that COVID made us realize that we need to rethink the way we are doing things and to adapt in a better way to the future by keeping maybe this digital transformation we already were enforced to do, because it wasn't by choice. We were forced to follow this during COVID. Maybe we can improve it and make it more accessible for everyone. And also see how can we be more prepared in case something else happened in the future, So this is my answer.
Thank you for that. This is not a question, it's more of a comment. A student would like to know if they can connect with you on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Is it possible for us to get that link in the chat for all students to see?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So here is another question for you. You mentioned in your presentation the importance of integrating social and emotional learning in our schools. What do you feel are the best ways to do that?
Okay, my answer is not, it's not related to a feeling. It's more like something more, I'm gonna say practical. There are many organizations, I'm gonna name UNESCO G.H.A.D, who created courses for social and emotional learning for teachers, for students, and for the administration of the schools, where they can learn how to how can they add activities and the classes and curriculums in their, not curriculums, like material to the curriculum in the school, to make that maybe, let's say, we can make it a course, we can make it something that students learn since they are kids, since they are very kids, so they can start learning how to share their emotions, what are their emotions, what to do and what not to do, put themselves in the shoes of the other kids at schools. How will this other kid feel if he was or she was bullied? So these are the things. So my answer is that to do that, it has to be integrated in the curriculum in a very clear way. This is one. And two, the environment around them in the school, whenever the school starts integrating social and emotional learning, the environment has to be also aligned with what this course is saying. So if this course is saying not to bully and to be aware of what we are, the impact we are having on this other person whenever we bully this other person, it has to be in the environment and in the vision of the whole school, and it has to be eliminated in a way or another. What I'm trying to say here is that they cannot learn in class something and then go out of the classroom, open the door, and face the exact opposite of the things they learned in the classroom. When it comes to social and emotional learning, and it comes to so many other things such as citizenship, students should see that what they see out there is aligned with what they study in the classroom. So yes.
Once again, thank you so much for your response. I do have one more question from a student. First, I want to say great presentation. Thank you so much for speaking at FDU here today. So their question is, seeing as your support education, do you think it is important to not only focus on academic education, but rather life education? For instance, coping with stress, handling finances, family balance, and relationships.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask again the person who asked this question. Do you mean by you mean like integrating these things at school or at university in the curriculums, or you mean like the informal way of education? Just to be sure that I understood the question clearly, if you can just type that. Okay, anyways, until we have the response, I'm gonna say yes, I totally agree that these things are, like, when it comes to coping with stress, which is under well-being and mental health, handling finances, family balance, relationship, all these things, so many other things, learning autonomy, learning how to, these are things that should be integrated in the curriculum at school. And kids, students, and young people should, when I say school, I mean school/university. In a way or another, it should start somewhere at school, and it can move with us to the university, and we should learn it. Like, we don't have to learn it later on in life when we go out to life and we see that when we are at, I don't know, we are 18, but we don't know how to manage our own finances or how to live alone, how to be, you know, these are things that we can learn at school and they can be integrated in the curriculum, maybe replacing some other things that are becoming insignificant, or maybe added to the curriculum, but they can be taught at school and we can learn them there. So it doesn't have only, of course, it can't be anymore the things we learn in the books and only that, because anyway, whatever we learn in the book, half of it, if not more, is available already online and we can access it. We need to learn new things that are more related to our life, to our actual life, and to the future we are going towards. So, yes. I hope I answered.
So I still do want to open the floor to any students. I know we have a great amount today. Does anyone else have any questions for her today? Please feel free to use the chat box to ask them.
You can ask whatever you want, so please feel free. I'm open to questions.
How about I ask a question?
Yes.
To ask you a little bit more about that declaration, and I wanted you to tell us a little bit more about what do you think the benchmark tells us about where we will be in 2030?
Okay. About the youth declaration, which is already, I didn't detail that enough. I thought I was running out of time and then eventually I wasn't. Okay, so about the youth declaration, we did so many consultations. The first one was in person in Paris in June during the pre-summit that was organized by UNESCO, and two second ones that were online. And we gathered young people from all around the world. During these consultations, we had keynote speakers that are stakeholders who work in the education field, who shared their visions with us. And we heard from all the young people from all around the world. And then we tried as much as we can to collect everything we heard together. And there's something very, there's something I wanted to share during this collection of visions and point of views. And even though I mentioned already, young people were coming from 170 countries, which is almost 85% of the countries of this world. We saw so many similar things coming from them. They do want similar things. And at the same time, we saw difference in terms of maybe gaps between countries, because some countries will be asking for digital transformation. Some countries are way behind digital. They need bare minimum in the education, you know. But what I'm trying to say here is that everyone wants a change, because everyone now, all the young people know that the education they are having right now is not what they want, actually, but this is the only available one. So this is what they have to follow. But they know, they are aware that they need a change and there's the transformation that is needed. So coming from there, going back to the second part from your question, like I cannot predict the future. I cannot say that we will achieve this or we cannot achieve that, but I wanted to say something, and it might sound, I don't know, a little bit cheesy, but yeah, I believe in this. By integrating more young people in the process of the change, be it in the education field or any other field, by having more young people at the table, sharing their visions and sharing their recommendations, sharing their experience, saying what they want, because I personally and so many other people believe that young people know what they want. They don't have to be always the receivers, you know, like the person on whom we imply something. They do know what they want, so we can hear from them and they can share what they want. And by having more young people integrated in the process of this change, we will reach, if not the 100% of the goals by 2030, but we will reach way more than what we can reach now with less young people in the process. And maybe this is an invitation from me to all of you to be part of any young movement you want to be part of, be it related to education or related to anything else, because you are welcome. And even if you found that you are not 100% welcome and someone is blocking the road, it's okay. Just try to find a way to cross that block and be part of whatever you want to change, because yes, you can do that. You have all the creativity and all the innovation in your mind, and that is needed, you know. So we are talking right now about the innovation and creativity and the energy that young people can bring to the table, combined with maybe the wisdom and the experience of the older generations, combining both together, because it's not one, they are not in a war, like we are trying to find a combination of both, combining both together to reach a better solution for the future of everyone. So yes, if young people are involved, we can do a lot until 2030, by 2030.
Thank you for that. So we do have another question from a student. So they are asking if you have any advice on balancing both personal and a professional life.
All right, so my advice will come from my own personal experience, which is no matter, I love education. Like, I'm this person who loves to keep studying and learning and teaching until, like, if I meet you at 60 and you ask me, I will tell you that I'm still studying. So I love education, and I do have a passion for what I do. And this passion keeps you very involved in what you do and keeps you day and night on your laptop trying to catch what's happening here and there. But balancing personal life and professional life, you have to always remember that you as a human being are way more important than all of this, because you can't achieve any of this if you were burning out. So my advice is that you have to know how much you can handle, and you have to know where to stop and take a break and move and go and then come back to continue what you were doing. Because no matter how important is your professional life, it can't be important more than you as a human. So that's my advice. Know your limits. Okay, I think there's another question.
So considering that we hear a lot about how the education system is flawed and how only certain students coming from certain backgrounds can benefit from the education system, what format changes are viable for the UN to consider and push for nations worldwide to swap to in order to create a healthier education system in nations around the world?
All right. Okay, this is a very long question. I'm just gonna try to, about the education system is flawed. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't think that we will ever reach a system that is not flawed. Like, it will always be presenting flaws, or if we don't want to call it like that, we can call it something that we need to improve. Because while we are trying to improve this education system, the world is also improving, and whenever we reach that point, we will be in need to start again, thinking again about how to improve it, to meet again the improvement that happened in the world. So this will be always a cycle, an ongoing cycle. About this part. About the other part, what the UN is trying to work on, if in this question the person David is focusing on maybe the Youth Declaration, the Transforming Education Summit, and all these things I mentioned. The thing is that they are trying, and we, because I consider myself part of this process, as much as we can, to listen to young people and listen to the students and see what they want and see how is this feasible, and take that declaration to an action plan, where this action plan will meet what they need and keep this process going. And during this process, of course, we need to tackle we need to make sure that the process is inclusive, it's accessible, it's diverse, it's reaching everyone as much as we can. You know, because it's not a miracle. It's not we press a button and everyone will have the best education tomorrow. It's a process. But what I can tell you is that it's super prioritized, and they are working on it in a very serious way. And if you follow the links I will share later on, you will see that every single day we are working on something, and it's not like again, it's a priority. It's a top priority for everyone to make education a global public good for everyone. So yes, this is it.
Perfect. So we do have two more questions for you. So this one says, it's even though it's not related to the topic that we are discussing here today, but you did mention that, of course, you are open to any questions. What do you think about adding financial education to schools, and how does this relate to the SDG?
No, it's not out of the topic. It's in the context, because adding financial education to the schools, you mean like taking a course about financial education, about how maybe you manage your own finances, and then you learn how to manage the finances of the company you work for, and then your own company and all of this. So it's in the topic, and it serves the SDG 4, it serves the education, and it serves so many other SDGs, because it can impact the economic and let's say SDG 8, economic growth. It can be an added value to women learning at school and help them in their help the society achieve gender equality, because they have more knowledge, more information about how to deal, how to be independent. So no, it's not out of context. It's in the context, and it's something, of course, it's needed. And yeah, bottom line, everything we used to learn at school, I'm not gonna say that I want to eliminate all of these things. No, not that much. But yes, we need so many things added to the curriculum at schools to match again our own lives. So yes, I totally agree with that idea.
Okay, so this is our last question for today. So it says, one of the SDG 4 goals is to increase the supply of qualified teachers by 2030. However, is this realistic with the current supplied people that is trying to become a teacher in the current generation? And is this realistic to what many departments of education offer to the teachers in benefits and wages around the world?
Okay. Is the question, all right, the fact that one of the SDG 4 goals is to increase the supply of qualified teachers is the answer to all the other things stated in this question. And I mean by that, because they were aware, I'm not gonna say we were aware, because I wasn't writing the SDG 4 with them, but I mean like, there was an awareness that the situation of the teachers around the world is not fair, and they are not taking what they should be taking, and they are not receiving the benefits and the wages they should be receiving. And at some point, they are not given the importance they should be given, because for me, they are one of the most important. This is one of the most important jobs that someone can ever have. So coming from this, SDG 4 focused on supplying more qualified teachers by 2030. And by this, we mean like the whole cycle about pushing on the governments to invest more in that, increasing the wages, working on maybe ways to give more trainings to the teachers. I'm not saying that teachers need training. I'm trying to say that when the whole thing is shifting and improving, it will be unfair to them if they don't shift and improve with the whole thing, so they don't be left behind also. So it's realistic because there's a need to improve the situation of the teachers. So more teachers will be attracted by this job again, because we need teachers. So yes, it is realistic, and it is realistic to ask for it. Now, when can we achieve that, or how much can we achieve from that? I cannot say. I don't think that anyone can give a straightforward answer about that. But like asking for it and pushing for it and trying to work for that is realistic, yes.
So my apologies, but we actually do have one more question for you.
No, you can ask as much as you want, yeah.
So which SDG do you consider is the most important for young people to accomplish?
No, Claudio, I don't know if this is how I'm supposed to spell your name. No, there's no one important SDG, and there's no one important target. Like, I find the importance in education, because like a part of me finding the importance of in education is a little bit biased because I love education. So yeah, to be honest, like the other part is that me believing that teachers teach students at school to become later on the engineers and the lawyers and the doctors and all of these people. So the cycle starts at school. That's why I prioritize education, but I cannot tell you that this is the most important SDG. And if you want to focus on one, you focus on this. No, you focus on the SDG you want to focus on and you believe in and you have passion for, and you don't mind talking about for 10 hours per day without feeling bored, just like me. So yeah. So this is my answer.
That was such an amazing conversation. I want to thank you both so much for the incredible content and energy that you gave in this conversation, as well to all of our participants that joined us today for our SDGs in action. This will be the last SDGs in action of the semester. We will resume next semester, but again, your work is incredible and amazing, and we really appreciate your time and you being here to talk to our students and inform them on what you're doing, what you believe in, and how to get them involved as well. So thank you so much, Eliane, for your time. We really appreciate it. And Sulema, you did an amazing job. And with that, we would like to end this presentation. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us.
Yes, I wanted to say that I shared in the chat the links for the things I mentioned, the summit, the youth declaration, the work we do at the SDG for Youth Network, and I'm gonna share also my own LinkedIn. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for the questions and thank you for having me.
Thank you.